This week on 380 Updates, big progress to cover. Beams are now placed across the entire expansion zone, including both bridge crossings and the 720 overpass. Overnight, crews began pouring concrete at Legacy, signaling the start of a major phase in this corridor's transformation. Plus, a new traffic switch is heading to Navo. We'll tell you exactly what to expect and when. From boots-on-the-ground footage to insights you won't find anywhere else, we're keeping you ahead of the changes. And to top it off, a quick moment of calm. Here's what progress looks like under Texas sunset. We're starting things off with a quick look at what's changing along the US 380 expansion in Denton. Here's what you need to know. This is a $140 million project widening the highway from a 4-lane, continuous 2-way left-turn lane in the center to a 6-lane divided highway with sidewalk access and 5 overpasses to fly over key intersections. We're going to jump around a little more than usual in this week's update and focus on specific events. We'll move slower than usual as well, starting with 720. Last week, crews placed all the beams at this overpass. It took 3 nights for this overpass to be completed, as there are 3 rows of beams that were lifted in place. We were on site to capture the first couple of the second night. This scene was from before that second lift. The middle section across the roadway was completed the night before and involved shutting down the north and southbound traffic. Sorry for those of you stuck in that. This next time lapse shows the very first beam being set across the intersection. And let me tell you, this is always a milestone moment in any bridge project. What you're seeing is 2 cranes, one on each end, working in perfect coordination to move the beam from the staging area into its final position on the new bridge structure. Now, this footage is sped up nearly 10 times, but in real time, this process took a little over 10 minutes. That's pretty typical for a first beam. Crews have to be extra cautious, check clearances, and sometimes make small adjustments to the bearing pads or alignment. Toward the end here, you'll notice they had to work through a few obstacles, which is all part of getting the geometry dialed in just right. Once this first one is placed, the rest usually go a lot faster. We had to cut it off as we unfortunately ran out of batteries on that flight. We'll zoom out here to take in a wide evening shot of the overpass and surrounding area. You can really see the scale of the work from this angle. The heavy machinery, the freshly set beams, and the crews coordinating every move. As the second truck backs into position for the next beam lift, the sun's starting to set, casting a golden hue across the site. It's one of those moments where the construction zone almost looks peaceful, even as the momentum keeps building for the night's next big lift. Each of these concrete beams can weigh upwards of 100,000 pounds. That's like balancing 25 full-size pickup trucks across the bridge span. What does that look like now here in Little Elm? Well, after 3 nights and 30 precisely placed beams, the overpass is finally starting to take shape. For an intersection that's seen its fair share of delays and frustration, this is a turning point you can actually see. The structure now spans the entire crossing, and for the first time, it feels like real progress is happening. We're going to focus on the rest of the beams placed along the highway over the past couple of weeks. Work that had minimal impact on traffic, but made a big difference in the pace of construction. This first area is the Lake Lewisville Bridge, just west of Paloma Creek. 16 beams were carefully set here, forming the backbone of what will eventually carry the new westbound lanes across the lake. It's one of those areas that might not draw much attention day to day. It's always nice getting the drone up. It gives us a whole new perspective on the work these crews are doing behind the scenes. "14 beams were lifted into place here at the Doe Creek Bridge a few weeks back. And while it didn't get much attention at the time, this was a major step forward for the project. With traffic flowing, as usual, just a few feet away, crews worked overnight to get each beam into position with precision. From the air, you can really see how much progress has been made, and how each of these pieces comes together to shape the future of 380. It's these behind-the-scenes moments that quietly move the project forward, one bridge at a time. If you've made it this far, you probably like what you're seeing. Go ahead and subscribe to stay in the loop. Right after our last video, traffic at Savannah and Gardenia was switched to the outer lanes. Just as we predicted. No, we have no involvement with this project directly. Crews moved fast, starting demo on the inner lanes almost immediately. Since then, several concrete pours have gone down, and both intersections are shaping up to open within the next month or so. So far, we've checked in on the 720 overpass, those freshly placed beams across the corridor, and quick updates at Savannah and Gardenia. We've still got a major concrete pour at Legacy to talk about, and a traffic switch coming this Monday. But first, let's take a quick detour to check out the progress on this new dentist office going up off 720. We'll take a quick break to talk about our most favorite sponsor. Please visit signgypsies.com if you're planning a celebration. Whether it's a birthday, graduation, or any special event, they've got you covered with custom yard signs that will bring your occasion to life. With vibrant, personalized designs, Sign Gypsies delivers more than signs. They deliver joy. They handle everything from design to setup, so you can sit back and enjoy the fun. Visit signgypsies.com to book today and use promo code 380updates for a free upgrade on your next sign. Terms and conditions apply. We're out at Legacy where crews are gearing up for a long night of concrete pouring. This first shot turned out great. Someone in the comments said it looked like that old photo of steel workers in New York. A bit later, we can see more preparation. Concrete wouldn't start pumping for around another hour. We're at the start of a major concrete pour. And before any concrete hits the bridge deck, there's one important step: priming the pump. On pours like this, using a boom pump truck, crews need to prime the pump lines before sending real concrete through. This protects the equipment and prevents clogs. The first truck you see arrives and dumps a watery-looking mix into a front loader. That's not a mistake. It's called priming slurry. It's a mix of water and cement, without any rocks or aggregates. The pump crew uses it to coat the inside of the long pipe system that delivers concrete from the truck to the pour location. It's never part of the actual structure, so it gets discarded right away. Next, a second truck pulls in and also dumps its load into the loader. This one's a bit thicker, likely leftover or cleanup concrete. Sometimes this second batch is used to help push any remaining mix through the pump line during clean-out, or may have been rejected for not meeting slump quality specs or temperature. Both of these loads get collected into the front loader's bucket. It's a quick and safe way to gather the material before hauling it to a washout pit or disposal site. So if you're watching this and wondering why these trucks didn't dump straight into the hopper, this was all prep and cleanup, getting the equipment ready before the actual pour starts. A behind-the-scenes step most people never see, but it's critical to a clean and successful pour. Enough with the backstory. Let's show you all the action. Concrete was pumped over 150 feet up and over the job site. We're starting at the far end of the bridge deck, where the pour begins. Concrete is being directed from the boom pump into the first corner of the formwork. The pour doesn't just happen all at once. It moves strategically, section by section, across the entire deck to ensure consistency, strength, and workability across the slab. Now, take a look. There are at least a dozen crew members visible, each with a critical role to make this operation run smoothly. This worker is right at the end of the boom hose, directing where the concrete flows. It's a two-person job, guiding the heavy, flexible hose and making sure concrete is placed evenly across the surface, while others hand-screed tight corners or around embedded features. These guys work right at the front of the wet concrete, using concrete rakes come-alongs. They pull and push the mix into every corner and edge. They're helping the screed crew maintain an even feed so the machine doesn't outrun the mix. Now here's a cool detail. Watch these guys in all white. They're using gas-powered concrete vibrators. At the end of each one is a metal head about a foot long, and when it's submerged, it sends rapid vibrations through the wet concrete. Why? These tools are essential for consolidating the mix, helping the heavier material settle, pushing out trapped air, and making sure the concrete wraps snugly around the rebar and fills every inch of the form. This step is critical on a bridge deck like this, where structural integrity and load-bearing strength are non-negotiable. Without proper vibration, you risk air pockets, weak zones, or what's called honeycombing, which can shorten the lifespan of the structure. Just behind the pour point is the screed machine, a large mechanical beam that rides on rails and levels the fresh concrete to an exact thickness and slope. Operators walk alongside it, monitoring elevation and coverage. Here's where the real magic of finishing the bridge happens. This large machine you're watching is a bridge screed, and it plays one of the most critical roles in getting the concrete slab perfectly flat and consistent. It's suspended on rails, almost like scaffolding, stretching all the way across the width of the bridge, in this case, 6 full lanes. Underneath that frame is the screed head, and it moves back and forth across the deck with a very specific job. That front spinning drum you see, that's called the strike-off head. It's the first point of contact with the wet concrete, and its job is to knock down the high spots and spread out the fresh pour evenly across the surface. Right behind that, you'll notice a large rotating roller or vibrating screed bar. This part consolidates and levels the concrete, ensuring a uniform thickness and smooth grade all the way across the deck. It helps settle the mix, pushes down aggregates, and starts the finishing process. The machine does this pass after pass, making subtle adjustments to compensate for any dips, ridges, or slumping caused by the pour or vibration. This process is especially important on bridge work where tolerances are tight, not just for strength, but also for future water drainage and ride quality. A properly screed deck helps prevent standing water and improves the lifespan of the bridge. So when you see this machine crawling along, it may look repetitive, but what it's doing is precision work that takes the surface from fresh pour to engineering-grade finish. Here's a fun fact. This screed is adjusted in real time using grade control systems. Some modern ones even have laser or GPS guidance, ensuring they follow the exact elevation profile, down to the millimeter. That's how you get a bridge that doesn't just look level, it is level. And get this, on a pour like this, you may be looking at 200 to 400 cubic yards of concrete, depending on the thickness. The screed has to manage all that material while working against the clock, because concrete waits for no one. Think of the screed like a Zamboni at a hockey rink. Its job isn't just to smooth, but to create a flawless, consistent surface that will hold up under pressure. And in this case, a lot of pressure. Each lane of this bridge is designed to carry upwards of 80,000 pounds per vehicle. The concrete mix used here likely has a compressive strength of 4,000 to 6,000 psi, depending on the bridge specs. That's about 25 to 40 times stronger than the concrete in your driveway. Very sorry, we could sit here all day watching that back and forth too. We have one more segment to cover, but first we'll take a look at the only notable retail space update, at least as far as we're concerned for this update. Down at 2931 and Main Street in Providence Village, Sprouts has finally made its presence known. Brand new signage is up, and it's highlighting exactly what they're bringing to the table. A wellness-focused market with an emphasis on fresh, local, and organic goods. This marks a big step forward for the retail development in the area and signals that Sprouts is getting closer to opening its doors. For residents nearby, it's a welcome shift toward healthier, farm-to-table style shopping without having to drive far. And they are hiring. Still not sure why the zoom in so far. Lastly, mark your calendars. A major traffic switch is scheduled to take place starting June 16th, weather permitting. This next big change will impact drivers in the Navo and Paloma Creek area. And it's a key step in moving the project into Phase 2 for this section of the highway. This traffic switch is being implemented to clear the way for construction of the new Navo Overpass, which is one of the final remaining bridge structures along this corridor. Once complete, It will drastically improve east-west flow and reduce bottlenecks at this increasingly busy intersection. The shift in traffic patterns will stretch from just in front of Tenders, the popular spot on the east end, all the way west past Paloma Creek and down to the Lake Lewisville Bridge, which we covered earlier in the video. That entire stretch will see lane reconfigurations and potentially narrowed shoulders during the transition period. Warning, as always, timing is subject to change depending on weather conditions, overnight progress, and safety checks. So while June 16th is the target date, crews may adjust based on real-time conditions. Stay tuned here, and we'll keep you updated if anything changes with that timeline. That's going to wrap it up for this week's update. Thanks for joining us and following along with all the progress. We'll see you in the next one. And hey, have a great Father's Day weekend. This was our 33rd video. Thank you all for the support. That's it for this update. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share so your neighbors stay in the know. We'll be back next time with more on the 380 expansion. See you then.